I just looked through it. We're good. It's all good.
2, 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Tanya Monroe.
Welcome back, Virginia Realtors in the building and on live stream. Our next speaker this afternoon is well known for her ability to make her innovative marketing strategies both simple and accessible for all realtors. Chelsea, oh, I love Chelsea already, Pites is the best-selling author of the book, Talking in Pictures, which explores how camera-first social apps have changed communication. She teaches realtors of all ages and all levels of technical ability to use the cameras on their smartphones to build brands that are both personal and powerful. Dubbed the #1 real estate Snapchatter, Chelsea has used free social media marketing apps in her career as a realtor to effectively reach consumers. Through Snapchat and live social video, she's able to focus on storytelling and authentic communication. Today, she is here to speak about building a powerful camera-first brand. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the talented Chelsea Pites.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me out there? All right, this is my first time to Virginia ever in my life, so thank you so much for the opportunity. I gotta tell you, everyone here is absolutely lovely and friendly, and it's beautiful, and I'm from Arizona, so it's about 115 there still. So thank you so much for the warm welcome. Hello to all of our live streamers. As mentioned, my name is Chelsea Pites, and I teach people how to use the camera on their smartphones to build a powerful personal brand. And while I am not an expert in smartphone technology or even cameras, I am one of the very few people in the world who's actually written about how cameras and social media apps in combination have changed not only the way in which we communicate, the way that we now build communities, and also has changed our brains and how we communicate with one another. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to give you some tips and tools that you can implement today to help elevate your camera-first brand. So I actually know, I'm old enough to know why these two things go together. I graduated college before Y2K, so that means that I am not a digital native. I did not grow up with the Internet of Things, and I actually got my real estate license before Facebook existed. That's 2001 BF, before Facebook. That's when I got my license. I earned my living as a real estate agent for over 10 years without ever using social media, mainly because it didn't exist. And you might recognize this person, that's Mark Zuckerberg at 16 in 2001. So I earned my living in this business without ever using social media. So I'm here to show you that it is possible to not grow up with these things and actually implement them in your business. So a couple of years ago, something really incredible, really remarkable changed the way in which we communicate through social media. And within a 24-month period, we went from pretty much still and static pictures to live streaming video. So you can see here from 2016 to 2018, that's when we really started to just take off exponentially with this camera-first branding. So for the last 957 days, I've actually documented the story of my life every single day using free social media platforms. And what happened as a result was something that was truly life-changing for me. I actually ended up creating this incredible human network of people all over the world. Last count, I think I was at 200 cities, 8 different countries that I had met people. People that were normal, people that were my age, people that were parents, people that were professionals. And it was incredible to me that I was actually making these true, real relationships. And I didn't feel like I didn't know them, and I actually felt like these people were my friends. And that's what got me thinking about what has happened with social media. What is it about this sort of real-time visual communication that had made me feel that these people were actually my friends? So I started to think a lot about it. This is the wall in my office. This is a bunch of 8 by 11 computer pieces of paper stuck on the wall. And so I studied for about a year, and I studied brains, biology, and behavior. And my background's in psychology, and I wanted to know what was the neuroscience, what was the product psychology that was making us actually feel connected to these people. And what I found after that year of study is that there truly is a science to the screen-to-screen phenomenon. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. This is what I came up with after that year. It's called the Camera First Formula. And it's about how the neuroscience of visuals, how we react when we see someone's face, whether it's through a screen or whether it's in person. And you combine that with sociology and how we use communities now, like Facebook groups and other things online, to connect with one another. And also product psychology, which is very, very interesting. These products that they create are actually designed to get us hooked or addicted, and how we use that. So when we combine all of these things, we have behavioral design, which means it's changed or trained our behaviors. Like many of us use Netflix or Amazon or Uber, we now have an expectation that we have been behaviorally trained that every company should be like that. So that's really kind of in the disruption era. So I'm going to talk a little bit about these things, and then we're going to get into how to use the tools. So I did a lot of study on the brain. And our brains actually are a lot like cameras. They actually have 2 cameras inside of them, and it's called the fusiform gyrus. And its only job is to capture people's faces and help you remember who they are. So if we actually damage this part of our brain, we would have face blindness. We would know we were looking at a human face, but we would have no idea who that face belonged to. And it's why babies as young as 9 minutes old can actually recognize a face. And then 2 hours later, they can actually recognize their mother's face from someone else's. So it's built into us as a neuroscience of looking at facial recognition. And looking at faces is the only way that we can actually begin to understand each other, to relate to one another, and to develop relationships. So it's very powerful when you are using a camera, when you are on the screen, whether it's Instagram Stories, Facebook Live, or Snapchat, that you are creating this relationship and this trust that people don't even realize that it's happening as they're watching. And you literally become top of mind. And so when we talk about branding and staying top of mind, using the camera can help you do that in a much easier and efficient way. So what I discovered from that is today in 2018, we now build trust through technology. And I also studied sociology, and some of you who have ever taken any kind of psychology classes in high school or college probably recognize this. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it kind of just goes through what we need to survive. Now, a lot of people say food and water is a physiological foundational need. I actually don't believe that love and belonging is a third-tier need. I feel like that's really foundational. We need that in our lives, and now we just use different vehicles to get that feeling of belonging. Facebook, Instagram, connecting with people in different groups. And what I discovered is that when we are real time, whether that's Facebook Live or some other vehicle or platform we're using where it's pretty much real-ish time within a 24-hour period, that is what connects us to the other person. They can be much more engaged. They can feel like they're experiencing it with you. So instead of me posting a picture to Facebook of my trip to Disneyland a week or two ago, where you could sort of look at it and think, oh, that's great, but if I'm actually there live or I'm using an Instagram story to bring you in my story, you feel like you're there with me. It's a much different experience. So I also worked with this incredible author. His name is Nir Eyal. He wrote a book called Hooked. He is a phenomenal behavioral scientist. He works with products all over the world, and he likes to say he uses them for good, not evil, on how to get people to use them. But he came up with something called the Hook Canvas, the Hook model. And this is really how all social media works. We have a trigger. Maybe it's a notification that we see on our phone, and we have this like itch that we need to scratch. We want to see what it is that somebody sent us. So as we get that action where we're opening it, we see something, we get the reward, and then we have a time investment because we've gone there, we've built our communities, and we feel like we're invested. So this is pretty much how any product that we love to use. For me, it's Amazon Prime. I'm totally hooked on Amazon Prime. This is what happens all the time. Social media is built on that. So when it comes down to it, the formula is the science. Faces accelerate trust. The more you can show your face, the faster you will develop trust, even if it's through technology. The sociology is that real-time shared experiences is what creates the community. And the psychology is that investment, the more I use that platform, the more committed I am to using it. So I did end up writing a book. It's called Talking in Pictures. And the reason that I picked that title is Evan Spiegel, the co-founder of Snapchat, said something really profound. He said, you know, parents look at their daughter and they wonder why she's taking 10,000 pictures of things they would never care about. But what they don't realize is that she's not preserving memories, she's talking. And so we are all now talking in pictures. And because of that, the camera is now the new social feed. So let's get into some how-tos, tacticals. Feel free to write these down, take pictures. This is what I have here of what you should be doing right now in a social media landscape to build your powerful personal brand. Do this now in this order. This is ranked from most important to least important. Instagram stories. Must do that. Here's why you must do Instagram stories. It is a platform where people expect you to talk to them. And if you don't know somebody very, very well, you can still talk to them and they don't think it's weird. So it's a great place for you to connect with potential prospects, your clients, and it's very visual, it's real time, it's private messaging. Nobody else sees the message. Facebook Live. Critical for the algorithm. Must do Facebook Live. 6 times more engagement than any other kind of post in Facebook. Facebook stories, why? Because nobody's doing them yet. Nobody gets it yet on Facebook. So you have an opportunity, even if you did a couple good morning, good nights, twice a day, your face, your brand can be at the top of every friend of yours feed every time they open that app. Snapchat and then LinkedIn video posts for sure. So Facebook, a couple of years ago, announced that it's going to be all video by 2020. That sounded pretty far away 5 years ago, but we're almost at 2019. So they're pushing hard on video. That's probably nothing new that you've heard before, but it's really important to be thinking about how are you going to be building your brand using video in the future. So here are some Facebook Live tips. Really important. If you're using your phone, look into the actual camera lens, not at your own eyes in the reflection of the screen. Because when you look into the camera, you are making eye contact. And remember, the whole neuroscience of the eye contact is that you are building the trust through technology. I think that it's great when you're starting. Be less than 3 minutes. Don't have to worry about going on for 10 or 15 or 20. As you get better at it, you can do that. The longer you go, the more algorithmic juice that it gives you. The headline is also critical because people are scrolling through that feed. You can actually put a description or a headline, and if you're somebody who blogs or you write, you know how important it is to get that headline to grab people's attention. One of the ones that I did that got the most attention was, OMG, I can't believe I just did this. And people tuned in and they're like, oh, what happened? And it wasn't anything super exciting, but it really did get people to watch it. Vertical is key, okay? No more horizontal, no landscape. That's for YouTube. Go vertical because Facebook is rewarding it. It's making it bigger. Vertical video ads are performing better in Facebook as well. So make sure you're going vertical. Something that I use is called the reply question loop. It's a little technique that I sort of developed, and it works wonders because right now, what Facebook is ranking is comments. So the more comments you get, the more replies to comments you get, the higher you go in the algorithm. And every time you get a comment, every time you get a reply to a comment, it triggers the algorithm again. So if you want to get seen and more reach for free, that's really important. It's important for you to be commenting, and it's important for your content to get comments because that tells Facebook this is important. People like it. So what you do is if you have a live video and you've gone on, somebody makes a comment, could be something simple like, hey, thanks for the great info. A lot of people will just maybe like that or say you're welcome. What you can do is say, you're so welcome. I'm so glad you liked the information. When are you going to try Facebook Live? I've asked a question. They're going to reply almost 99.9% of the time. And so you don't have to keep going over and over and over again, but what happens is it's like doubles your comments. You get more replies, and then it gets out to more people. So when you can, try to use the reply question loop. Like I mentioned before, Facebook Live, when it first came out, 3 times more engagement, it's now doubled. 6 times more engagement than any other kind of post you can make in Facebook. They are rewarding you simply by using the format because they want everyone to go live. The longer you go live, the longer you watch, the more behavior training we get, and the more ads they can sell. So video viewing stats, 85% of videos are watched without sound. That's a lot. So captions can increase your view time, your watch time, by over 12%. And 80% of people who have like a video that comes on when they're not expecting it with sound get really annoyed. So my point with this is if you are using video on Facebook, think about adding captions. Some of you may or may not know you can auto-generate your own captions for free on a business page, not your personal profile, but on a business page. So I can create a live video. Once it's no longer live, I can edit. I can push one button that says auto-generate subtitles. And then there you have it. It'll show you all your subtitles, and you can caption your video. Another great service, rev.com. It's $1 a minute. And it's a 24-hour turnaround time. So if you have a 5-minute video, you want them to transcribe it, it's $5, and they give it to you in 24 hours. So think about how you can elevate your videos by using captions. Also, if you're using your videos for Facebook ads, really good idea to use the captions because as you're scrolling through the feed, words that are moving stops the eye. Think about it. We can't not read words that are on a screen, even if we tried. Our brain just reads them, stops the eye. Another really important part is what I talked about as Facebook stories. It's a strategic placement. You can see when you open up your app, they have stories at the very top. They want people to look at them. So right now, you guys, it's free. People are seeing your branding. Not a lot of other people are using it yet. So try it. Use those Facebook stories. Every time somebody opens up their app, they can see your name and face at the top. Next thing is Facebook Messenger. A lot of people are not using it for business or prospecting. It's a great place to connect with people because I don't need their phone number, I don't need their email, I don't even need to be their friend, and I can connect with someone. So think about it at open houses. Sometimes you don't get the right information. I can probably, if I remember what they look like and have their name, I can find them on Facebook. The other thing that I love about Facebook Messenger is you can do little videos, quick 10-second videos. Again, you have the face in there. If you use Messenger on desktop, you can even attach a file. So what I like to do is I like to go to desktop, And I like to, maybe it's, for example, a market stat piece that you have. I might shoot a little video, say, hey, thanks so much for stopping by the open house. Really great to see you. I attached some market stats here for you. Hope that you have a great day, and if you need anything, let me know. So you can attach the file, and you've got your little video, and they cannot turn off the read receipt, ever. Which means, once they open it, you can see they've opened it. And so that's why the response rate is so high on Messenger. It's not as busy as an email inbox that people just say, oh, I never got that email, or they just ignore it. So think about how you could do some of your prospecting and your marketing through Facebook Messenger. Next thing that I never see anyone using, again, totally free, video comments. I bet by a show of hands, has anyone ever done a video comment? I don't see anyone. Yeah, you guys, you can just shoot a quick little video. If it's someone's birthday on Facebook, what if you sent a really cool little birthday video? You know what I like about it? If you see underneath there Sabrina, my friend Sabrina, tiny. She has a tiny little text message right underneath me. Look how big mine is. 5 times bigger, branding, face, video, really important, and totally free. One of my favorite apps. Now this app only works on Facebook mobile. Doesn't work anywhere else. Facebook mobile only. I call this the magic app. It's called Into Live. And what happens is you create a picture, just a regular static picture. I made that in Snapchat, added some text over it. You can use any app you want. And when someone presses and holds and continues to hold, it reveals a hidden video. So how do we use this? I've used this with some sneak peeks of new properties where you tell someone press and hold, and if they take their finger off, it stops playing. They actually have to be 100% engaged while they are looking at it. What does that tell Facebook? They know if people are engaging with content. They know if people are pressing and holding. They know if people are watching. And you will get comments, and then you use your reply, question, loop, and it's just a really cool kind of fun app. It's $2.99, one-time fee. Next one I use is wave.video. It is about $49, so maybe on the more expensive side. You might try Animoto as one that's a bit cheaper, but I use this for my Facebook cover video. You can use it for Instagram story videos, all kinds of different videos. With the click of a button, you can change the sizing, which is so great. So if I do something for Facebook, but I want to put it over into Instagram stories, all I have to do is tap the button. So right here. So you can see I can do LinkedIn, Facebook, Facebook cover photo, Instagram story. They may have actually added a few more. So all these videos here, let's see if I can pull it up again here for you. All these videos here, except for the pictures, these were all stock videos. So they provided me with all that stock footage, and then I was able to put it together really, really easily. It has music, it has the words on it. I put all that together. So the next thing that I want to show you is Legend. This actually came to me by way of a Facebook employee. They said that this was a really great app. I love it. It takes 2 seconds to use. I call it thumb-stopping content. It stops the eye. So this is how it works. So instead of just putting a quick little text message into my Facebook status, I can do, let me go back so you can see it again. I can make a quick little animated text, different colors. I mean, it makes it all for you. It gives you 30 different options. So try Legend. It works for Droid and for iOS, totally free. Next one is Biteable.com. This is new. If you're doing Facebook ads, this could be a really good option for you. They even have real estate related templates. Biteable.com, you can make little quick graphic kind of videos. So you might want to use this on your website. You could use it in your marketing. You could use it on your Facebook ads. So Biteable.com, you pay per video or you can do a membership. So really fun little things that you can make. You can make it 10 seconds. You can make it a minute. The next one we're going to talk about is Instagram. Anyone using Instagram? Okay, a few people. Anyone heard of Instagram TV? It's brand new. So Instagram TV is brand new. What I love about brand new is that there's not a lot of competition. So if you're thinking about getting into video, into Instagram TV, you might want to download this app. It does connect with Instagram. The nice thing is, I'm giving you a little example of what it looks like here. The nice thing is you don't have to go out and find anyone. It connects to your Instagram app already. So everybody you're connected with there will already be connected with you on Instagram TV. It's just like YouTube, but vertical. Remember we talked about vertical video. It's exactly like YouTube, but vertical. You can actually go up to 10 minutes on the video, because on Instagram, You only have 60 seconds. So this is longer videos that you can use and connect with your Instagram. So check that out. Next one I love is Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark is great for Instagram, Instagram stories, Facebook stories. It's, let me see if I can show you a little thing here. So at the bottom, you can see that I'm going to be scrolling through different designs, different colors. You can do different text. It can animate it. And what I love about Adobe Spark is that, again, if I want to go from one platform to another, it easily changes the sizing with the click of a button. So I love Adobe Spark. It is for iOS and for Droid as well. Next one is Hype Type. Love this one for Instagram stories. It's little animated text. You can use photos and other little videos and backgrounds. It's great for Facebook stories, Snapchat, Instagram stories. Really, really fun little app there. iOS and Droid, it's a one-time fee for $2.99. Next one is Unfold. This one is where all the pretty Instagram stories are made. So this is, you'll see a lot of really well-known Instagram influencers using this particular app. There is a small fee if you want to upgrade to some of the other different options that they have in templates, but it's really, really easy to roll through there. I'm just giving you a little overview of how it looks, and it looks really clean and crisp and professional. Okay? So that's also for iOS and Droid. Planoly, funny name, but really cool app. You can schedule your Instagram posts. You can see me here, I'm dropping and dragging. So if I want to see what it's going to look like all together in my grid, I can do that. The other thing it does is it saves all your hashtags. A little tip is you should be using 5 to 10. That's sort of the magic number on Instagram. And you can save all your hashtags, so you easily don't have to type it every single time you're posting. You can just simply copy and paste it and add it right in there. So it's a really, really great tool. It's $9 a month. They have an app for Droid and iOS. They also have a desktop version. InShot is another great app. You can see I've got a lot of videos on my camera roll. If I want to resize my video that maybe I've shot vertically, so you can see here there's my son, and usually there's those black bars on the side. This is an app that will help you negate that. So you can either put a blurred picture in the background like you see here, or I can pick different colors. I can add text, I can add music. So it's a really easy way to resize and remove the black bars on your vertical video. So sometimes I do a video on my phone, and I might want to add it to my YouTube, which is horizontal. So I'll just simply go in here and change it up real quick. So InShot. iOS and Droid $2.99, one-time fee. Next thing is, excuse me, Cut Story. If you have a video that you've shot, maybe of a beautiful listing or community video or an interview or a testimonial, and it's longer than 15 seconds, using Cut Story will cut it up for you into the 15-second maximum for Instagram stories, and it will also save them in the correct order on your camera roll. So all you have to do is go right into your camera roll, select those, and away you go, and now you can do one seamless video that's longer than 15 seconds, which is the maximum in Instagram stories. So Cut Story is awesome. There is a free version, or you can upgrade for 99 cents. All right, bonus video apps. Here we go. Lumen 5, something you've probably never heard of. Turns your blogs into videos with AI. So what happens is you copy and paste the URL of your blog from your site, or anyone's blog for that matter, and it reads the words with artificial intelligence and turns the words into images for you. So I have an example. This is a blog that I wrote, and I just connected it. It read all the words. It said that I had, camera and social media. It picked all those videos for me. So you can change those if you want, but it put everything together for me. And I tried this side by side. 1 week I posted my blog the traditional way, without a video, just a link and a picture in Facebook. The next week I posted this. This got way more engagement. So it's not free, it's $49, but it's definitely a really cool tool, especially if you like to blog or write. So that is called Lumen 5. Next one is Video Shop. So I use this a lot because I do screen recordings on my phone to show people how to use things. And I like this because it allows voiceovers. So if you are doing a community video, you could easily do a voiceover and talk about the community while people are watching the video. Video Shop is for iOS and Droid. It's totally free. It does a lot of other cool things. It actually replaces pretty much iMovie. So I no longer even use iMovie on my phone. But when we come down to it, we're looking at all of these great tools. We could talk about tools all day long. It's truly about stories and telling your story. And I was lucky enough to sit in this front row with Mr. Gary Vee a few years ago at Inman, and he really talked about how stories and not sales pitches are really important. I think everybody in here can agree with that. And it's about relatability, right? People come for the plot, but they stay for the characters, and that's what I express to people when they are sharing their story through the camera, through Instagram stories or Facebook Live. People want to know more about you and who you are, what your passions are, and they want to relate to you. And camera is a great way to do that. And in the end, social really isn't media. It's really about community and connectivity and creating good relationships. So this is actually a picture of the 25 people that I met a few years ago on Snapchat. We finally all met in person. And one of those people right next to me is going to be on the stage in a few minutes. So Shannon Milligan and I are best friends. We met on Snapchat, so it really does happen. And she's actually here with me today. So these are the people, the community that I always show, and they said, oh, you can't possibly be friends with people that you've met on social media. This is for sure in real life. So if you'd like to connect with me, you can follow me on all the socials at chelsea.pites. I'd love to connect with you and follow you there. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you about Camera First branding. And we're going to go on to the next event in just a moment here. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Chelsea, for sharing marketing strategies to accelerate our business. We're going to take a few minutes before we start up with our next panelist, so hang tight. We'll be right back.
Okay, are we on? We're gonna do some Q&A. Who wants to ask some questions about social media? Let's do some Q&A. All right, who's brave enough to ask the first question? All right.
Hi, I'm Jim Wilson. I'm from Hurrah. I'm a local. My question is, when did Facebook go from horizontal to vertical?
That actually recently has happened in the past, I'd say a year to 18 months. They still support horizontal for sure. Actually, Facebook was really all about square video. They did a whole bunch of studies about square video taking up a bigger percentage of the feed than a horizontal. And so now with vertical video and everything going vertical, because let's face it, my gosh, if we had to actually turn our wrists like this, you know, it would be way too much work. But we are just now in the vertical culture, and that's really thanks to things like Snapchat and Instagram stories where people are consuming the video while holding it vertically. So what happens when you do like a vertical video or a vertical video ad in Facebook, when someone taps on it, it now fills the entire screen. So it feels like a lot of the other platforms people are using, and it really, again, we talk about that subconscious branding. There's no distractions. I don't see the post above it. I don't see the post below it. All I see is your entire screen filled up with that vertical video. So it will always show bigger. So if you go live, you can do it horizontally, but if you do it vertically, if you've noticed, and I've done tests with this, a vertical video that's just in the feed, if you're scrolling through the feed, will actually take up more space than the horizontal one. So when we're trying to get eyeballs and that subconscious branding, it's the best way to do it. Thank you for the question. Anyone else have questions? We can talk about Instagram, Facebook ads, Snapchat, YouTube, anything social media. Apps, oh, I see someone back there.
My name is Brad Cohen, Harrisonburg Rockingham Association of Realtors. As far as Instagram, do you recommend having a separate page for your Instagram business, or do you think that marrying your personal brand with your business brand is more effective?
I think that on any platform, marrying your personal side with your business side is going to be more effective, because I was just talking with someone in the audience. Social media now and branding now is really about the brand of you. It's less about here's my listing and here's my open house. Those are important. But it's more about who you are, what your passions are. Are you aligning yourself with the community that you're serving? That may be a video series about the best, restaurants in town, the best gluten-free menus. I mean, you could become the person that's not talking just about the houses, but is associated with that community. You're always going to get more reach on your personal profile for Facebook. Facebook announced in January of this year that they're going to be downranking business pages. Doesn't mean you should give up your business page. I actually get more engagement now than I did before. I post less on my business page on Facebook. I only post live video. I post once or twice a week, and I get way more engagement than I ever did when I was posting every single day, just making sure I was going through a checklist thinking, well, I have to post something. For Instagram, I do recommend that you switch your personal Instagram to a business profile. Now, it's not like Facebook. A lot of people think, oh, that's so much work, like when I created a Facebook business page. It's one simple switch in the settings, and it just asks you, would you like to go from personal to business? Why would you want to do it? Number one, it gives people another way to get a hold of you. It gives you a button where people can email you directly without having to look anything up, or find your website, or call you. So it's just one easier, frictionless way, like we have with Amazon Prime, for people to connect with you. And yes, you might think, well, no one's probably going to connect with me through Instagram. They probably will start to if they haven't already. So important in that aspect. The other aspect is that you get a lot of insights or analytics or data, and at one little glance, you can see what are people reacting to, and then you know to do more of that. So it's important to have the insights and the additional ways to contact you. It doesn't do anything negative. You don't lose anything. You never have to find anyone on Instagram. It's just simply switching and adding, giving you more stuff. Facebook, a little different. If you're going to do business, you've got your business page, your Facebook profile. If you're going to do Facebook ads, you have to have the business page. It's required. And if you're going to do Facebook ads and you're going to have a business page, it should look good. You should optimize it. You should have the photo. You should write an about you. All the SEO from Facebook and Google are looking at the keywords in your about section and your bio on your Facebook business page. So because there's so much domain authority, or because, in other words, Facebook's bigger than your website, Facebook, LinkedIn, those are always going to show in the top 1, 2, 3 when people are looking for your name. So that's why it's critical that you have a completed, optimized Facebook business page and LinkedIn profile, in addition to if you want to do those ads. But honestly, I know people say, I don't want to talk about business on my personal profile. Don't. Talk about you, talk about your community, to interview people that are interesting in that area, and save the business just for the business. But you're always going to get more reach, more engagement on your personal side. Anyone else? No? Yes? Mm-hmm. Right, bare bones minimum on LinkedIn is the question. What do I need to do if I want to spend my time mostly on these other things? You have to optimize your profile, which means you have to complete every single section. You have to have a cover photo, you have to have your photo, you have to have media files, which means you can attach a link to something you've written, or a magazine you've been in, or a testimonial that you've created in a visual format using a free app like Canva. You need to attach those things, because what happens is these platforms look at what you're using and how much you've completed, and then they will show your stuff more and reward you in general if that's completed. And also if you want to get found on those SEO, because they're looking at your name on Google. Everybody's going to do that. You want to show up, and you want multiple. You want your Facebook page, your LinkedIn, all of that. So every once in a while I'd go in there and I'd comment on some people's things, and I'd maybe post a few things. Commenting over contenting is key. You're going to go to all these conferences, they're going to say, you got to make content, you got to make content, you got to make content. That is really important. But right now, the commenting, you reaching out and talking to people on a regular basis, your prospects, your clients, that is where the magic is going to happen, as we all know. So commenting over contenting, for sure, every single day do that. And I say go to Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and comment on people's stuff if that's the only amount of time you have. I'd rather see comments than content. Anyone else? Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay, question is, what companies would I recommend for something like Facebook to do automatic postings? There's a lot of companies out there. What I will tell you is that Facebook really, and all the other platforms, really like people to post natively. What that means is they can tell if I'm using, let's just say, Buffer or Hootsuite or any of those types of platforms. They know that it's connected through an API, and they do give more algorithmic rank to somebody who actually goes into Facebook and actually makes a post from that native platform. So I always recommend using that. And yes, it does take more time because you have to go to each one and post those on the platform. I also encourage people that when we're talking about being relatable, we're talking about being authentic, we want to show us, right? And it's a little bit harder to outsource to some of those companies your stuff unless you're providing them with that content in order to do it. Which at that point, if you are doing that and you're already creating the content, it takes 1 second more to just post it yourself. So I'm not a huge proponent of automated companies that do that. What I have also seen, and some of you may have seen it too, I have no idea what company it was that this happened to, is that they use the same content. And I've seen it where some glitch must have happened, and a bunch of people all over the United States who happen to work for the same brokerage all had the same post the same day, and I was like, wow, something must have happened, as I was scrolling down. So people really now look at content and those things that we've, posted years ago about, tips for this or seasonal things, and they look at that as an ad. If it's a lot of words, they look at that as an ad and they skip right past it in the feed, even though it's not a paid ad. So I would be very careful about who you hire to do the posting for you. Find out are they giving you original content? Are they looking at your area? Are they posting photos of houses that are actually in your area or in different regions? So ask those questions if you're going to be outsourcing that for sure. Anyone else? Anyone doing Facebook ads? No, can't see if anyone's no. Think about it, yeah? Any questions about Facebook ads? Do you guys know that you can actually upload your own database into Facebook and serve them ads? So number one thing you should do if you are thinking about doing ads, take your database, your past sphere, upload it as an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can actually serve ads to those people. You can even then tell Facebook to go find people that you don't know that behave like the people in the audience you just uploaded. So that's probably the best use of uploading your it's called custom audiences there. Yes. No, Twitter's not dead for sure. Actually, really nothing ever is dead. It's all in how you use it, just like traditional marketing. You know, door knocking absolutely works, open houses absolutely work, postcards absolutely work. It's funny because I always use the example of Facebook. When they came out with live video, they started taking out the sides of buses for ads and bus benches, and they were using very traditional formats of marketing for a very high-level technological company. So nothing's ever dead. Twitter is very good for fast-moving content. Just know that if you are going to be embracing Twitter for marketing, you're going to be spending a lot of time in it because it moves so quickly. It's a chronological feed that the minute you put something up there, you're going to have to go 15, 20 times a day and be going in there to post. So that might be something where it might behoove you to do some sort of automation piece of it or an app that will integrate with your Twitter and curate content and post it. But it moves very fast. It's definitely not dead. Thank you. Ready? All right.
Thank you again, Chelsea. You know what? I don't have Snapchat, but I might try it. Okay? I'm serious. I do everything else, but I don't know. Snapchat, I might try it. I am pleased now to welcome Rick Jiha, successful realtor and speaker, and panelist, again, Chelsea Pikes, with Fidelity National Title, Shannon Milligan with eXp Realty, and Karen Hall with At Home Real Estate. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage to discuss human touch in a digital world. Thank you, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rick Jiha, as she said, and you can tell me because I'm the only one that's not a girl up here. So I may be dressed like one, but I am not one. So, all right, well, nice to have you all. And as you know, the subject is human touch in a digital world. And with the lights shining on me, I can barely see you. That's all right. And the great thing about the way that is worded is that it's not specifically speaking to a question. And that's what I love is we have three incredible ladies here who will give us their personal impression of that. I wrote up some questions for this. And what we want to do is kind of find out what it means to different people. Human touch in a digital world, to each of these ladies may be something different. And to you individually, it may be something different. I'm a 38-and-a-half-year veteran of the real estate industry, and I had to learn not to touch. Like, I'm serious. I'm Lebanese by nationality, and we hug everyone, men, women, you know, and I can remember my boss in 1991 saying, stop hugging people, you know, because they don't like that touch thing. So now, like, literally at this age in my life, I actually ask people, is it all right if I hug you? And if they just back up, you know that's a no. So, so I think that you have with you the bio on these amazing ladies. I got to speak to them by phone. I'm visiting here from Northern California, and I was very impressed with their backgrounds, what they have. So what I put together here is, and I'll start with this one, and then since you each have a mic, you're mic'd up automatically. Good. So since you're here on my left, we'll start with you on the first one. It says, what comes to mind for you immediately when you read the title as it relates to you, your business, your clientele, and your life, when we look at those words, human touch in a digital world?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what Lee Brown was saying a couple of days ago, where it really is bring humanity back into our profession, because it's really everything. You know, it's kind of like branding and marketing. It's everywhere. And it could involve how you're communicating with your clients, with agents, anybody, you know, through text and email. What words have meaning? So what are you choosing to use in that? It could be social media, and that applies as well. What's your brand? What are you putting out there? You know, even down to someone who gives you a referral. how are you thanking them, or how are you rewarding them for that referral? Is it just automated, or is it kind of customized for that person? So it really is all encompassing, but I think it kind of dials back to really social media and communication more than anything.
You know, to me it means survival. You know, we have Zillows and Homies and Purple Bricks and all of these things, and they are really taking technology and running with it. But the one thing that they cannot do is give that human touch, to have that relationship with the client, with your vendors and everyone else. And if you can find a way to show your value in addition to implementing technology, then you're going to win and you're going to survive the shift that we're in we're in disruption right now. So, you know, that's what it means to me, is just the way that I'm going to keep running my business, and it's the way I'm going to win.
So I think of it as, you know, how can I leverage something that's here to stay, like technology, and how do I use it to be more human? And that's been great for me because I've been able to scale relationships with people all over the world that I never would have met in other countries. I think of it also like, you know, movies. Like, we've watched movies for decades. We just watch them in a different place now. I watch them in my living room on Netflix or on my Fire Stick versus going to the theater. So it's just a different way to connect. It's still human, even though it's digital. It's just a different way to do it.
Beautiful. So notice that they all gave similar answers but stated differently as it related to them and their businesses. And the one thing that's great about this is each of you, you'll listen to their answers, and then you'll start to say, how will that apply to me? And I love that they all covered like different areas. So when you listen, you know, take into account for you, what does human touch mean? You know, I was joking around about the hugging because that's the literal touch, but versus what, I think you all use the word human, what brings humanity back to the business. So that's really great. The next question I wrote up is, we all need technology in our business. It supports us. In some cases, our technology takes the place of an assistant or something that somebody used to do, and it also helps us supply a lot better customer service. So I say something, where and how do you augment these systems with something specific that comes across as human touch? Why don't we start down there this time and work our way back?
So for me, I deal with a lot of people that are newer to the social landscape, and they're either not sure about it or they've been uber successful without ever using it. And the question is, why would I start now? And to that, I say, you know, the scalability of that human touch. With one video, I could reach 1,500 people or more, and I certainly wouldn't be able to be in the same space or office with 1,500 people in one day. So they get to know me better through technology, and one of the biggest compliments that I've ever received is, wow, you're just like you are when I watch you on whatever the platform is. And that just confirms for me that people do feel that they have a connection with me, even though it's through a screen, because, you know, our brains can't tell the difference.
So a couple things that I've implemented in my business. So those of you from Richmond, you know, we had the 8, 9, 10 tornadoes rip through a couple weeks ago. And one thing that I utilized that is digital and technology was a mass text. And it went out to all of my clients. And so that was a way that I had the human touch, because I was checking on them, seeing what they needed, and then it was utilizing digital and technology, and I was able to get the masses quickly, and then I answered them individually. You know, somebody said, hey, I really appreciate this communication. I need a roofer, and I was able to give them a roofer right away. And then another way I've been implementing, and this is huge for me, is video. And on Tuesdays, I do buyer education on my business page. And on Thursday, I do seller education, which I need to do today. So I'll be doing that from here. And I just give the consumer what they are craving. And that's the thing that we have to remember. They are already educated. And if I'm not educating them through technology, then something like Zillow and those big dogs are educating. And I want to be the person they go to, opposed to, you know, these big impersonal places. So I implement video to give out the education, and that's just been an enormous blessing in my life.
And her videos are awesome. If you don't follow her, you have to follow her on Facebook for her videos.
Thank you.
And again, a totally different interpretation. So with that question for me, I kind of looked at something that's digital, like the world of Facebook, And then we kind of put in a system that helps us inject the human touch into it. So everyone, I see all these people all the time on Facebook that are saying, oh, who do you know that's moving? Tell me, send me your friends. I'm looking to find 5 buyers. And you can always watch, right? And you can see when everyone's gone to the same class, because you see they all start posting the same questions, the same things they were told to do. We have something called My Favorite Things. And so you can fill it out. It's like a little form. You can fill it out through an iPad or on a phone or email. And we actually do it. If there's any brokers in the room, we have our agents fill it out as well when they join us. And your clients can fill this out, or your prospects. It's my favorite flower, my favorite color, my favorite sports team. My favorite candy is my favorite one. Favorite. And we have them fill it out, and it can actually send us, that system can send us a push notification to any of our agents and say, hey, you've got Jane Smith who has a birthday coming up in the next week. Here's her favorite things. So I encourage people to use social media, or especially Facebook, but not to go pelt people and tell them how amazing you are. Pay attention to what your people are doing. If someone's stressed out because Johnny's going to go take his black belt test on Thursday, send them a handwritten note and say, hey, just wanted to wish you the best of luck. I'm sure he'll do great. Or you're having a rough day. Send them their favorite candy. They never remember that they ever filled that out. And when somebody's favorite candy shows up at their doorstep, they're like, oh my God, how'd you know? I needed a Kit Kat today. So that was kind of how we put the human touch into it systematically. So it's not, you're not having to think about it all the time, but using something digital like Facebook. So.
Those are all incredible answers, and it actually resonated with me. I do a lot of coaching, and one of my husband and wife teams in Minnesota that I coach have been using Slidial to do a broadcast voicemail. And the way she related it to me, and I said, put me, your coach, on there. And I got her voicemail, and I swore she called me personally. I did not know that she was leaving literally 2,500 messages at the same time. Because she said, hey, Rick, and she didn't say Rick, she says, hey, it's me, Toby, and just checking in, are you going to come to our Vikings tailgate party? I know you got the Facebook notification, but I haven't heard back from you. And I realized, wow, that's really technology helping us to keep more of a human touch. So all of you related back to that. This is one of my favorite ones, and I love that we have the different perspective, you being from the title world and you two doing real estate, but differently. I wrote here, there's still a good part of the business that's face-to-face or belly-to-belly, as the saying goes. What makes your quote-unquote in-person interaction so much more human than other agents may be doing? And, I also want to make sure that we all get that no answers are good, bad, right, or wrong. You may not like or say, oh, I would never do that in my business, but that doesn't make it good, bad, right, or wrong. It just makes it the way they do business versus you. And I'd really love to hear that. And let's start with you on this, Chelsea. And you've probably spoken to thousands of agents in your career, so you get a little different perspective on it.
Yeah, so for me, it's just a way to expedite all of the get to know you. Because people, when they meet me and when we have that opportunity to get in front of, and I wish when I was an agent we had all this, because we didn't even have live video or Instagram stories. If I could sit down at someone's table across from them and they already felt like they knew me and they were my friend, I would get every single one of those listings. And so for me, it's great because people really do get to see who I am. And for me in my business, they know that they want to work with me because they're like, well, I already feel that I know you. And it's people say, I already feel like that I'm your friend. And I'm like, you are. I mean, you really are, because you've seen me, I call them like my co-stars, my son, my husband. And so for me, it really expedites and gets down to like, okay, you have a connection with me. You already know you like and trust me. So we're going to move past all that first 2 or 3 meetings and go right into working together.
Oh, and again, totally different interpretation of that was when you'd asked about kind of the belly-belly, interactions that you have with people. I feel like people are tending to look for efficiencies in the wrong places a lot of times. And the one place you don't want to make efficient or automatic is those relationships. And it's really acknowledging that every single relationship you have is custom. The way you communicate with those people is totally custom. And it's just understanding that and kind of respecting that it's going to be not about you. I know we hear that over and over, but one of the things that I teach people is about hosting client events. And the number one fear people have is no one's going to show up. And it's surprising to me how many times it's just because they've picked something that they love bowling. Well, that doesn't mean anyone that they're going to invite to that event likes bowling. And even if you have a niche, dig into that, where I've just been doing military relocations since day one of my career. So maybe I'm going to host a dinner party. Maybe I have one evening that's mainly military people, so they all can get along and they have something to talk about. And maybe I have a different one for civilians, so they feel like they can relate better. But it's just taking it back to knowing it's not about us, and that's just a constant reminder, but making it custom for the person or for your audience and understanding that.
For me, I would say it's probably authenticity. You know, for those that know me, I am who I am on the video, and that's who I am in person. And I'm not afraid to share personal things. And here's what I found. So many agents are so afraid to speak of who they are. Now, here's the truth. I don't go around talking about politics and religion and the things that I know not to even say at my own dinner table. But I get real, and I'll never forget, I went into a buyer appointment, and the girl says to me, "Oh, your cat's buddy, and you have twins, and I have twins, and my cat's buddy." And I was like, I was taken aback because she really paid attention, and I was only expressing who I was. And so I think if people would get on, you know, the digital platforms, if you're on Snapchat, listen, I'm not the most dynamic person. I actually had that as a feedback from a thing that we did once. Oh, she's not the most dynamic, but she's all right, you know? But that's fine, because that's who I am, and my vibe will attract my tribe. And so I share that with you, because whatever you put out is what you're going to get back. So don't be afraid to be you. And I think that's the one place where I've been able to harness a little bit of energy, is by being myself and not apologizing for it. So just be authentic, and if you're shy, you can be shy, and you can go on Facebook Live and say, you know what, I'm afraid to do this, but you know, I'm going to do it because I know I have to get out of my comfort zone. And I promise you, there will be people that show up for you in ways that you never thought that they would show up.
These are all incredible answers, and I'm learning. Actually, just as we got ready to start the panel, and you said that stuff about uploading your database to Facebook, I was like, let me write that down really quickly. But one of the things that I see, that I get about that, I mean, I look back, I started typing up listings in my uncle's real estate office in the late 70s and started selling real estate in 1980. And I look back at that, and I would look at realtors in my younger age. I was 22 years old, you know, I literally didn't know anything about anything. And I look back, and I'd see these people out on the road that were other real estate agents, and I'd go, who would buy or sell with them? And, you know, I'd make that crinkled nose face like you just smelled a dirty diaper. And what turned out to be the truth about the business is kind of what all three of you are saying. They're going to be attracted to you based on what they are attracted to about you. And what you're all saying really resonates. I know with me, and I'm sure if it's with me, there's a lot of people in the audience that are picking up great things about it. Now, this isn't part of one of the questions, and you all said it was okay if I wandered off script, but it came up while I was listening to the three of you. We all use social media, and hopefully an appointment comes out of it. Now we are alone with them in the house. You just said you're friends with Kat. Apparently you have twins. Right, so you've got these things that are in common, and I just taught a class a couple hours ago, and the other thing, and we talked a lot about behavioral style, and I've always said that once I learned about behavioral style, my very first seminar in 1981 was Tommy Hopkins, and he used to say mirror and match, mimic and match your audience, and that makes them connect with you more. You know, if the person you were talking to crossed their arms, you would cross your arms. If they leaned back, you would lean back, things like that. But once you understand behavioral styles, and you're sitting talking to somebody, you can then start to mimic that behavioral style, like speak like a high S would speak or speak like a high D. But the point that I'm getting at here is, are you witnessing yourselves coming in and meeting people? Now we're in the belly-to-belly, face-to-face section, and altering your, not faking it, not becoming someone you're not, but altering your posture, your language style, the speed of which you speak, to sort of get them to realize you are them. You're another version of them. Are any of you seeing yourselves doing that? Or tell me about that. And maybe...
I'm not. I mean, I used to, and I wondered why I didn't get the business. And they could tell. I mean, I wasn't being me. And now I might go in, if I know I have a high C, right? I might lead with, okay, let's get to the numbers first. We don't want to know about, you know, this and this and how great I am and what I can do for you. When I stop talking about myself and I start making it about them, that's when my business changed. And here's the key to that. I don't want to go in and pretend to be someone else or even have to put on that air of trying to figure out who they are, because then my mind is on that and not them. I don't want to work with somebody that doesn't want to work with me. Life is too short. This business is too stressful. I'm already in therapy for it. I'm just going to be completely honest. It has changed my life when I just went in and I attract the people. I get what I'm supposed to get, and I don't throw a fit about it, if I don't get it anymore. And I just have to share one other thing. One of my best friends did not hire me a couple months ago. And yet, she came talking to me when it was time when she was with the other agent. And I was a little hurt. But guess what? That buyer that bought her house now has to sell 4 months later after buying it. And that friend recommended me. I wasn't supposed to get it with her. It's just not the way it was supposed to work. But I'm getting it now anyway. And when you have that utter belief that you are going to be who you are, it just, life has a way of working it out. The universe rewards you.
Good.
What about you? What do you see?
Well, I got to say, you are so shy and unassuming. I love the way that you sort of just very gently told the audience your feelings on that. That was great. Give her a big round of applause for that. That was great. That's good. That's exactly why we're here. I mean, we're all realtors, right? So yeah. Okay.
Not so much. I mean, I thought it was funny because you literally just hit the authenticity button. So I thought that was an interesting question. No, I mean, again, I am a big person of mirror and mimic, and assimilation, and but that's more, I infuse that more into the pregame, if you would, of this is who I am, this is what I'm about, and again, to attract those kinds of people. And the only even slight modifications I'll ever make, again, is sometimes you show up to an appointment for the first time, and maybe they kind of look at you like, oh, I'm not dressed as fancy, I'm not in heels, and, I might dumb it down as far as what I'm wearing to make them more comfortable, but that's literally the only, but by then, they've already come to you, they know who you're about, who you are, and what to expect, so.
Great. These are great answers. I'm excited. Chelsea, what do you got?
For me, it's a fine line because I really do like to mirror. My background's in psychology, so I find a huge benefit in understanding how another person might think and how you can adjust your behavior to make them feel more comfortable. But there is a beauty in someone being confident in who they are. And if you are negotiating for them and you are helping them with something, you want them to feel that you have that capacity to know yourself. Because even though they're not really thinking about that, it's kind of a subconscious thing. You're like, man, you might end up saying, I really liked him or I really liked her, and they might not be able to articulate it, but it's likely something that says, I know who I am, I know what I'm doing. But yeah, I am a big believer in adjusting and mirroring because it does work. It really does.
Okay, good. So now I'm glad I actually asked that question because you saw almost 3 different kinds of answers. And again, they can actually all apply all 3 answers to each of their businesses. I know I'm mentally taking notes about how I might alter. I am a professional speaker and trainer and have been for 25 years. I still sell real estate for a living. That's where I make the majority of my money. But the thing is if we're constantly improving that touch part, which is what this panel is all about, I think we continue to use technology at a very high level and not lose that, right? I didn't know that there were Zillow reviews going on until I hired a 26-year-old assistant. Seriously, turned out I had 4 Zillow profiles with 4 different email addresses, and there was only 2 horrible reviews on there. And she calls me up, and she's started working for me. 3 days later, she calls me up. She goes, oh my God, you're like the most famous realtor in town and you have 2 horrible reviews and no good reviews. I'm like, what? And the reviews were 5 years before she came to work for me. So it's realizing that this stuff is here to stay. I was the one who fought to keep the MLS book. That was a lot of years ago. A lot of you weren't even born yet, and now I go, I'm not going to fight these big behemoths that you all refer to, but you got to play that game, right? I mean, you've got to, because that's where people are going to look for you. And it's not just millennials that are looking for you there. My own baby boomers like me are also looking for me there, et cetera. So this is great stuff. Now, I have one to end with, but I think we got a little more time, and I'm a big advocate of using all the time we have. So where I'd like to go with this right now is, you all talked about what you do in your business through social media. And what I've noticed, just as a coach, I coach for a large coaching company, that literally United States and Canada all over, events are starting to be a bigger deal, like Pi Day and Santa Claus Picture Day, and I just mentioned Vikings Tailgate Day for some of my coaching clients in Minnesota. Movie Day is a big one too. I think we counted, and we had 300 clients in our coaching company, in the coaching company I coach for, that did a movie event where they got 2 movie theaters, one with a kids movie, one with an adult movie, and they rented them out. Now, I know maybe you don't do or don't do events, but I imagine you've had some experience either with somebody else doing them. Talk to me a little bit about how things like that are going to help augment this whole putting some human touch into such a digital world. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm nodding because we do tons of events.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I got to speak at Inman in New York City, and that was one of the big questions. We're always exploring, do you have a brick and mortar location? Do you just go virtual? What do you do as an owner of a brokerage? And we use our main spot for events all the time, but you can do it, again, it's acknowledging the audience. Will do like wine and chocolate pairings, or each of my agents will use it for a lot of different events. We're testing out a concept of doing, our company's name is At Home, so we'll do little things like today at home, we're going to teach you, how to make the perfect martini, or I tested out one with my sphere of influence, which was how to make the perfect floral arrangement. So I had people come in and they learned, had someone just kind of, you go to Wegmans or wherever and buy flowers, now what the heck do you do with them? So those little kinds of events, but we'll do them at a company level, or we do those Santa pictures as well. But we do those all the time, and my agents, I'm there at these events, and I'll overhear conversations, and every single time they get a piece of business out of it, because it never fails at one of these events. I don't know why. You help people, you talk to them, you text them, they know how to contact you, but every single time we're at the barbecue or wherever, they'll come up and they're like, I have been meaning to call you. We want to go buy a house. And then, 2 weeks later, you're writing a contract on something. I'm thinking, why didn't you message me or by, the 5 other ways you have to contact me? But it's always that face-to-face that prompts that. I've been meaning to. So they're huge in ours.
Good. Shannon?
I love events. I love it. I'm not in the business. I'm not motivated by money. I think money is a byproduct of doing good work. And so, purposefully, we don't want to sell more than 50, 60 homes top, because I personally love going to the weddings and stuff that we get invited to, and where those relationships are created are at those events. So I've already booked Top Gun 2 for next year, the movie theater, because I have the need for speed and a little Val Kilmer. And we did Star Wars this past year. We did a baseball game. That was fantastic. We do the reverse pie. And so we utilize technology, by the way. We do a Evite, and we ask them what kind of pie that they would like, and they come the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and they pick it up. We have an express pickup between 12 and 1. They come in, grab their pie, and leave. And then we do a wine and cheese pick up your pie from 4 to 6. So if they want to come in, and you know what that does? It identifies who wants to really have that relationship with you, because if they're coming in from 4 to 6, they want to have that drink with you. And so we are always planning events. We would love to do something with Santa or an egg hunt. And we also partner sometimes with a mom's group. And we do, September is Hunger Action Awareness Month. And so this is an event that isn't so much for the client, but they get involved. And we collect peanut butter, and we collect a lot of it. And we sent, we're not even done, but we sent half of it, which was 223 pounds, to North Carolina just like 3 days ago. And that's from clients and vendors participating in that event. And so they feel like they have helped you, and collectively as a whole, they've also helped their hungry neighbor in need. So we love events. I think it's great for relationship building.
Nice. I feel so lucky that I brought this up. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think events are highly, highly successful, and also from a branding perspective. I mean, if you create a signature event that you become known for, that's incredible. One of the, I think, the most brilliant ones that I've personally seen was a friend of mine who created what they call Foster Friday and utilized a ton of social media and hashtag Foster Friday. And he was a dog lover, had this tiny little rescue dog that he named Mr. Bigglesworth, who was this tiny chihuahua, and brought him everywhere, worked at the office with him and everything. And he started doing every Friday, Foster Friday, where he'd bring out the dogs at the local, humane society, and he became known for that. And his videos would get like 20,000 views, and every dog got adopted. And then people kept asking, when are we doing an event? And then he would bring clients in with him on the videos to do it, or they'd say, how do I volunteer? How do I get involved? So he didn't really do an event like traditionally about what you were talking about, but I thought that was a really interesting twist to give back to the community, to get people involved. I mean, if you've got a baby or a dog, I mean, you can't go wrong. So get babies and get dogs.
Yeah, single men borrowing babies and dogs to go out to the park. Okay. I did want to comment that the wine and cheese idea is cool because then they have a little too much wine. They don't care which pie they end up with when they go home. So it works out really well for everyone.
Yeah.
I end up with a lot of extra pie because they forget it.
They forget to take them home. That's great. All right, I like this because where I was going with it next, and we're still okay on time, right, ladies? Okay, where I was going with it next was what you already brought up, which now, I built almost my entire career by emceeing charity events in my community for 28 years. So, and I would do that free, meaning I'd just show up, I'd become a member of the committee, and that was my way of giving back, and it paid lots of dividends in terms of business and notoriety and things that come as a byproduct. So it's the same thing. You guys all you, Chelsea, you and Shannon both mentioned it, is what are you doing in terms of in your community? And believe me, doing or not doing something in the community is not good, bad, right, or wrong, and people will sometimes make you feel that way because your life and what's valuable in your life is the most important thing. But are you three seeing anything in your own businesses or the businesses of the people you associate with as it relates to, I'm doing this community work and I'm causing more human touch with my advocates and my constituency, as it were, the people that could possibly buy and sell homes from me?
I don't know if that's a huge thing for us because, again, when we created our brick and mortar, our space was like this big, open, nice. It was the first real estate lounge and design center thing. So where we've kind of given back was more letting places like, Stop Child Abuse Now or people like that use our facility. So that's really
that's a give back. That's a big
more
give back.
But we weren't expecting, anything out of it whatsoever, obviously. Okay. But so I don't really track that sort of stuff, but that's kind of how we were using our assets, for lack of better terms. So.
That's very noble. Let's go down to Chelsea on the...
So I think that there are a lot of different ways to think about how you can support your community. And yes, charities, I know Shannon, you're very involved with a lot of charities, but also think about, the small business or the small solopreneur of the community that wants to kind of get that leg up. I know several really successful agents who started community groups on Facebook, and they grew to 20, 30, 50,000 people, and they get 50% of their business from those groups because it's not, again, like you mentioned, about them. It's about how can we help connect people in our local community, whether they need to ask a question about, I just moved here, how are the schools, where's the best restaurant, I'm trying to get involved into a charity, I'm a new business owner. So it's about building this ecosystem where people are already spending time, and you can kind of scale that as well. So I agree that the in-person events are critical, and then there are ways to take that and also think about how can we help the small business owners of our communities as well.
Awesome. Shannon? Don't be shy now.
I'm never shy. I learned from Gina Tefano with Ask Gina and Company in Northern Virginia. I was on her team. And so before I moved to Richmond, and I learned very early on, I would say to her, hey, so-and-so's asking for a donation, do you want to give it? I don't see it in your budget or whatever. And she's like, you give until it hurts, and it always comes back in spades. So I kind of took that into my business, and I don't want to say that I've ever gotten business from, oh, I saw that you're doing this, you get all this peanut butter. However, it shows people your heart, and so right now I'm an honoree with Make-A-Wish Virginia, and I've been tasked, it starts October 1st, that I have to raise at least $10,000 to grant one wish. And I did a Facebook Live yesterday, and I'm already receiving commitments from friends and vendors and stuff. And I got a private Facebook message just yesterday, and they said, you know, I didn't want to say anything on the video, but my child passed away before they could have their wish. And I just think it's amazing that you're doing that. Now, y'all, don't you think that person might just send me a referral one day for me being who I am and giving back? So if you're going to do something for your community, it doesn't just have to be charity, but the point is, whatever you do, decide to do, whether you're going to run a community group like Chelsea brought up, or you're going to go highlight local businesses. I did that with something called Destination RVA for a little while in video. Whatever you do, just do it with authenticity, do it with passion, and the branding, and I don't want to say branding for doing it like you don't do it for the branding, but you are going to brand who you are, and people want to work with you because, well, you're a good person.
You guys are really digging deep, and I appreciate it, because the reason people attend events like this is to pick up nuggets and go out. I remember a guy in one of the offices I used to manage in the 90s. He just went to all the businesses that he himself often went to. Like, he went to his favorite pizza parlor, which was just a local non-franchise pizza parlor, and he got the guy's permission to pass out 10% off cards to everybody in his database, right? And that was his way of giving back. And that would be the first time a bee ever landed on me inside at a convention. So, but that was how he started giving back, and it paid so much dividends in his business that he didn't even care about that. He was doing it as a way to get his clients to pay attention to his choices. Brian Buffini was really famous for getting people to do this resource book, like, you know, I've got my favorite lawnmower guy, I've got my favorite, you know, tire rotator guy, you know, things like that, and put them in there. And it worked extremely well. So it takes all of these ideas that you guys are talking about right now and picking one that feels good for you, that you can do, as you use the term, authentically, and you feel like you're behind it. I started emceeing charity events because I'm comfortable with a microphone, right? I talked to the guy who ran the biggest foundation in town. I said, what could a guy like me, when you have doctors, lawyers, attorneys on your board of directors, I am the doctor of mouth. I talk a lot. And he said, oh, we could use a guy like you because as a realtor, you're not afraid to ask people for money. What? So I said, I don't know what that means. But he goes, no, don't you have to ask people if they want to buy or sell? I go, yes. He goes, then you can come on our board and ask people for money. And that interpreted one day, he literally handed me the mic and said, you're going to have to MC this little get-together. And that's where it started to blossom from. Well, what came out of that was in 2 separate years, I got named Citizen of the Year in the town I'm from. And get put in the paper. Then my mom dies, who owns a restaurant for years in the town, and the title of her obituary was, and I was broke at the time, literally broke. It said, mother of philanthropic realtor dies. Like, wow, I'm a billionaire. So the point is, it pays back even when you didn't intend to, as long as you're being authentic. Like, give me a microphone, I'll talk for free, right? But the idea was, I actually just resigned from that. I sent it out, said, you know, it's no longer fun for me, and I feel like I'm no longer authentic when I'm doing it, so I resigned from doing it just 2 months ago. The point there of the story is you're all gonna specialize in things that feel good to you, and then as your priorities change, ladies and gentlemen, you might change what you're doing. And one of the things I like is all of you talked about different ways of giving back, and it went from a wide variety of things. And giving back can be, I talked about it in the class today, it can be like you're helping the brand new agent figure out how to use the copy machine in your office. That's giving back. So it doesn't have to be all momentous, it just has to be something, but it maintains that human touch that we're talking about. All right, so one last thing here. I think we're probably pretty close to the end, then we're gonna wrap up with this. Give us one last parting thought of words of advice for maintaining human touch in today's technology-based real estate world. So it's a free-for-all. Why don't we start with you, young lady?
Well, I think that as long as you are speaking from your heart, like all of us have said, being yourself, and those are always overused terms, but the fact that people get nervous about going out there, being live, being on video, and they think, well, I don't know what to say, or I'll say the wrong thing, or nobody wants to hear what I have to say, those are all stories that we tell ourselves. And, you know, it's funny when Shannon will call me and she'll say, oh my gosh, I feel like I looked terrible in that video. I'm like, well, did you go out in public today? Because you look the same. Like, you know, it's like we look like what we look like, right? Like, it is what it is. And people can embrace that because nobody is really looking at who you are, what you're saying there. We don't look at other people, we look at ourselves that way. And then also people get really stressed about where is the correct starting point. And sometimes you can't figure out where that starting point is until you actually just take action and start doing something, and then you might backfill and say, well, I'm going to change this or add this. But it's the waiting and hoping that you're going to get a sign or a very clear message of how to step number 1, step number 2, just start and stick with it, and tell people that you're doing it and why, and they will help you stick with it as well.
Shannon?
I would say stop hiding behind email, stop hiding behind text, call your freaking clients, send them a handwritten note. I know, I'm a realtor, I can say this. Like, I'm a realtor because I can't work for anybody else, right? So I want to hide behind my phone and behind my computer. And the best thing, you know, it's great to use the text and the email and all of that stuff. And the real magic happens when you do that, and then you call them quarterly, or you see them at the event, and you get to that belly to belly, and you have a vested interest in how their baby is, and, you know, how was your honeymoon and all that good stuff. So embrace the technology and also don't hide behind it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I had this in mind, and my word was going to be authenticity, and then we've brought it up over and over. But marketing is kind of my passion, so I took it in the marketing direction, which is, you know, dig into, I'm a big fan of, like, just do you, and don't worry about the masses. So many people are worried about missing one little tiny lead or opportunity that someone, just put who you are out there, to the extent that, you know, on your Facebook, I don't put a cover photo that is a, you know, glamour shot of you on the phone, or a house, or keys, or you in front of a door. Like, everyone does that. If you are a yoga instructor, put something zen that lets people know who you are. And yes, I'm talking about business pages. But, you know, we had an agent who was known in his community. Everyone knew him as the lacrosse coach. Well, cool. Put, like, a lacrosse background as your cover photo, yes, on your business page. They'll go there. They know you're a realtor. But don't just tell them what you are, tell them who you are. And even in the marketing, just really quickly, again, one of my agents, she is a yoga instructor. So, you know, everyone else is sending out mass marketing pieces. We said, all right, cool. Again, using the name of the company, but she went out to her top, like, 5, 6, I guess she calls them yogis, and her top 5, 6 yogis, and said, where's your favorite place to do yoga in your home? So we did an entire series in marketing you know, we made them feel like superstars. We brought out a photographer and let them do a little photo shoot in their home. And then we did whole ad campaigns for her on Facebook that was like, breathe easier when you're at home, or rest easy, or things like that. But, I mean, very clearly, people knew authentically who she is, and that's why they come to her. Again, who you are, not just what you are.
That's awesome. I just want to add one more of my own thoughts to the end of that, is that in 2007, I went to Italy for my 50th birthday, and I had, at that point, my team was being run by a partner at the time because I was doing a lot more speaking and training. And we get to Italy, this lady I was dating and we meet up with this other couple that are top producing real estate agents in our area. And I wasn't having to worry about it because my partner was running everything. And it was the first time I heard of Skype. And they were, you know, I said, how do you handle your business here with the cost of calls? Back then, you know, we still didn't have these, you know, telephone bills that were really cheap, and minutes were a lot less. And they talked all about Skype. Today, I'll ask my clients, I'll say, can I come over and sign the listing paperwork? And they'll go, can't you just send it by one of those DocuSign things? I'm like, oh, they don't even want to see me, right? And what I've switched is I've fallen in love, even at my age, with a technology called Zoom. You're probably all familiar with it. It's a video conferencing program, and I've got my own professional Zoom account. And now when, like, you get a repair request or they want to talk about something, even if their house is only a short while away, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I sell all over the Bay Area, so some of the houses are 20, 30, 40 minutes an hour from where my actual office is. I say, let's get on a Zoom line, and I text them my Zoom link. And my oldest clients, I'm talking about people 70s, 80s, and older, are loving it. Like, I called my client the other day, he goes, oh, you're going to call me on the phone, we're not going to use Zoom? I'm like, I have a quick question, calm down, right? It's like, but that is bringing that human touch back because they can see your facial expressions. And for me, it's working. Like, as a real estate agent, obviously I started using Zoom because I was told to by the coaching company that I had to. And, you know, so now if you're coaching, I'm on the West Coast, so coaching clients on the East Coast are seeing me with a baseball cap on backwards and a T-shirt and pajama bottoms, but they don't get to see the pajama bottoms, right? But you're in the middle of your busy day, it really, for me, is helping bring back personal touch. What I want to do, though, is this whole thing has been about your guys' wisdom in your marketplace, and it's been incredible. I am seriously taking back a lot of your ideas to my team, and you can all send me a bill for your coaching. I want you, ladies and gentlemen, to understand how great it is for them to take time out of their own day and their own schedule for no money to do this. And I, from the bottom of my heart, thank all three of you. Give them all a big round of applause, please.
All right, let's give Rick and the panelists another big hand. Thank you so much, guys, for the insights on staying relevant in the digital age. I hope everyone has been enjoying their time in Norfolk this week. I know I have. I've learned many tools and trends this week that I can't wait to implement. Watch out, my office agents.
I have a ton of people
Okay?
on my
But
EXP
that's
team.
right, I know you're here. For those of you who are playing the game
When I was with
in the
KW, I spoke a
Accelerate
lot.
app, listen to this.
Really great.
Live streamers,
So do you know a lot of
this
the
is
KW
for you.
people, like Barry
Enter the
Kramer?
code RECTOR, R-E-C-T-O-R, R-E-C-T-O-R 18 right now to earn big points. Good luck. Okay, RECTOR, R-E-C-T-O-R 18. Got it? All right, good luck. It is safe to say that we have saved one of the best for last. And I am excited to introduce our final talented speaker of this year's convention. Our presenter, Jessica Rector. Sounds familiar? She is an authority on turning your negative inner conversations into positive action, overcoming burnout, reducing stress, and enhancing communication. Before becoming a sought-after speaker worldwide, Jessica was a TV talk show host and award-winning top sales leader at a $40 billion international company and a broadcaster. She now uses her research to help individuals and businesses dramatically improve their effectiveness. She is also a best-selling author. Today, she is here to speak about good confidence communication, how to talk to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the talented Jessica Rector.
Okay.
it. Picture it. You are picking up your toddler from his first week in kindergarten. You are in a great mood, and you're riding bikes back home. And as you're riding, you see him veer into the middle of the road. You have to ride the bikes in the road because there's no sidewalk. And so you say, scoot to the side. And he goes, okay. And then you go a little bit more. And you're actually riding so slow on the bike that you're wondering if you're going to have to get off and start walking because you're pedaling uphill behind him. And just when you're about to jump off your bike, you see him veer again into the middle of the road, and you say, scoot over. And he says, okay. And you go a little bit further, and this time you're enjoying the nice breeze on your face. It's one of those beautiful days. And he veers into the middle of the road again. And this time you say, get to the side of the road. And he says, Mommy, why do you got to be so grumpy? Well, maybe because I've asked you 3 times to get to the side of the road, and I don't want a car to hit you. That doesn't mean you have to be grumpy. Okay. Duly noted as you feel that frustration tingle in the bottom of your stomach. And you say, but you're not listening. And he says, I'm listening, but my brain isn't. Didn't know there was a difference. So where did communication break down? When you were growing up, did your mom ever say to you, it's not what you say, it's how you say it? Yes? Well, as a teenager, my mom used to say that to me. And in my head, I was always thinking, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not saying it anyway. Maybe you're just interpreting it a different way. And so, how do other people interpret what you say? How are you communicating and other people taking it in? Because maybe you're just communicating the way you've always communicated, and people think you're grumpy, or the tone of voice isn't nice. So today we are going to talk about confident communication. And when I say communication, most people think external communication, but that's only part of it. In order to have successful external communication, you first have to get clear on your internal communication. So what are you saying to yourself about yourself? You have 60,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of them are negative. 80% of them. Now you may be thinking, Jessica, I am a positive, optimistic person. I have 80% of my thoughts as negative, but these thoughts that we have didn't just pop up one day. They started ever since we were little. Think of a toddler that you know. They say what they want, when they want, how they want, what negative thoughts are. They learn them from those closest to them, unknowingly. When people say, you can't do that, you need to be smart like your brother, your science fair project is never going to win. And the first time we hear those things, we go, nah. The second time, we go, And by the third time, we've convinced ourselves as though it's truth. And that becomes the story that we tell ourselves over and over again. And that is how we navigate the rest of the world. We navigate our life, our business, communication, how we lead, how we connect with others. That's navigating how you are working and doing business. I ask, what are you saying to yourself about yourself? Because your inner communication is the fundamental foundation of everything you do and everything you don't do. And oftentimes, it's the last thing you think about, if you think about it at all. When was the last time you thought about what you thought about? Right? We think it's all these external things, but what goes on inside is 90% of everything else in our lives.
Your mic's cutting out every once in a while, so we can use
It's 90% of what's going on in our lives. Ooh, that's super loud. Welcome. So, what happens is it's not just about the negative thoughts, because thoughts are fleeting. If you have 60,000 a day, they're fleeting in nature. What happens is those thoughts turn into your internal dialogue. You think it, then you give it more thought, and then you give it more thought, and one leads to another, and it leads to another, and it's like a spiral downhill. And that becomes that internal dialogue that you continue to repeat to yourself. So if you are wondering or saying to yourself, I have no idea what she is talking about, this internal communication, we are going to jog your brain with it. We are going to do an exercise called stand up, sit down. And here's how it works. I'm going to read a phrase, and if you agree, you will move your body. So if you are standing up, you will sit down. If you are sitting down, you will stand up. So if I say the sky is blue, and you agree, and you are standing up, you will sit down. If I then say the grass is yellow, and you agree, you will stand up. If you disagree, you will stay seated. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, nobody raised their hand. So I have 3 people. How can I help clarify for everyone else? Does it make sense to everyone? Yes, awesome. So we're going to start in a stand-up position. Okay, again, if I read the phrase, you are going to move your body, meaning stand up or sit down. So if you've ever felt, I'm not smart enough or I don't know enough, sit down. If you've ever felt rejected, move your body. If you ever wanted more confidence, if you ever felt like you failed, if you ever said, I don't have enough experience, if you ever felt like you weren't a good enough leader or you weren't leadership material, if you ever felt stress or pressure to be more or do more, if you ever compared yourself to someone else, if you ever thought, I can't do it all, if you ever thought it's not going to work, if you ever felt like it needs to be perfect in order for me to do it, and if you ever felt like you're not a good enough parent, spouse, or child. Okay, awesome. Have a seat. Give yourself a round of applause. You're welcome for the exercise today, this afternoon. So what happens is usually 3 or 4 of those will resonate with you. You'll say, oh, yeah, I said that one last week, or, ooh, I just said that this morning. All I want you to do is think about one of them that resonated with you, one of them that you've said to yourself. We're going to quickly go through a 5-step process that will change your life if you let it. Step 1 is, what is that inner communication? What is the one you stood up or sat down for? Number 2 is to write it down. So if you're not writing it down, take a moment and write it down, whether in your phone or on a piece of paper. Step 3, what is the trigger for that? So when do you find yourself saying that to yourself? Was it after a situation or when something happened, an experience? And sometimes the trigger can be a person. In fact, a lot of times it's a person. So when you get off the phone with your mom, or when you're talking to other people in your office, or a really, really awesome client, what is the trigger point for you? And then step 4 is we are going to reframe whatever the inner communication is that you wrote down. So I'm going to give you an example. If you wrote down, I am not a good enough leader, or I don't feel like I'm leadership material, here's the thing, your brain is constantly talking to you. What part are you listening to? So if you say to yourself, I'm not leadership material, or I'm not a good enough leader, your brain is saying, absolutely. It's validating that. It's saying, look at your background, look at your experience. Who do you think you are to be a leader? You're a horrible parent. And you may wonder, well, what does parenting have to do with anything? What happens is your brain will draw a direct line to something that doesn't even seem relevant because it will validate it. It will say, well, you're a horrible parent because you had to ask your kids 3 times last night before they took a shower. But when you reframe it and say, I am a great leader, or when you say, how can I be a better leader? What courses do I need to take? Who can I ask for help? Your brain will also say, and you're an awesome parent because you only had to ask your kids 3 times to take a shower. So whatever you're saying, your brain is validating. So reframe, that's the 4th step. Write down how you're going to reframe the inner communication. So again, if you wrote down that you're not leadership material, reframing it is, how can I be a better leader? Who can I ask for from help? I'm an amazing leader. My team loves me. So I'm going to give you just a second to do that. And I want you to write down 3 or 4. Write down as many as you can think of. Okay, who would like to be brave and volunteer the inner communication that they wrote down in step 2? So I have this really cool toy called a Frisbee. I'm happy to throw out to get someone to volunteer, but I know someone's going to volunteer without my having to do that. Who would like to volunteer? Yes, sir. Unless I can read your mind, yes. Perfect. So I'm not skilled enough. Let's give him a round of applause for volunteering. Thank you. You can have a seat, sir. So I'm not skilled enough. So who would like to help him reframe that? The reason why we're doing this is because there's going to be some of you out there that are a little confused or aren't sure how to reframe what you wrote down. So we want to help you do that, because the more that we do this and the more we practice doing it, the more we can do it once the conference is over. And again, it's just skill. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. So who can help them? You don't have to raise your hand. You can just volunteer it out. Who can help him reframe that? I'm not skilled enough is what he says. Yes. Perfect. What skills do I need? Who else? Yes, I'm excited I get to learn new skills, right? Or the skills that I need. Yes. I didn't hear that. Yes. He was skilled enough to create the organization, so I trust that I can run it. One more. Does someone have another one? I saw another hand over here. Yes. Yes, I'm skilled enough because I'm willing to look inward to make myself better. So you can come up with several different ways in how to reframe it. Now, step 5 is for you to circle the one thing, the one action in number 4 that you're going to take. So out of all the reframing that they did, what's the one that you're going to do? Because it sounds all good in theory, but if you don't take action on it, nothing will ever change. So out of all the ways you reframed, number 5 is, what one action are you going to take? Does that make sense to everyone? So there's 5 steps. And whenever I was speaking at an event one time, and I had a guy contact me afterwards, and he said, that has changed my life. And I said, okay, well, how does that work? And he said, what I did was I kept track of all the negative thoughts that I have in a day, because I encourage people to do that. Like, if you keep track of all your negative thoughts in a day over the course of a week, you'll be shocked to see how many negative thoughts you actually have. And so he did it the first day, and he didn't have a lot. He had about 10. And then the second day, he said, I had about 20. And then the third day, it kept growing. He said, but what I also noticed is I was having the same inner communication over and over and over. And so when we see a pattern like that, we can actually change it. We know what to focus on in order to change it. And that inner communication keeps us from taking action. It keeps us from doing things. It allows us to stay stagnant and in this comfort zone. So we are going to get you to take action now. We are going to play Pictionary. I did not get that much excitement. I'm going to try that again. We are going to play Pictionary. Woo! Okay, here is how Pictionary works. I know it is the end of a long conference, and you probably just want to sit there and do nothing, and this is not the session for that. So, this is how Pictionary works. There's going to be one person who draws. There's going to be 4 or 5 of you who try to guess what it is they're drawing. So if you're at a table that only has 1 or 2 people, join another table of 2 or 3 people, and you guys can all be on one team. And so the person who is drawing is going to draw what's on a piece of paper. But you cannot use numbers, letters, symbols, or words. You're drawing a drawing, okay? And you don't use your hands and say, you're almost there, come on, come on, come on. They have to figure it out from what you're drawing. Does that make sense to everyone? I got 2 people over here. Yes, okay. One person is going to draw, everyone else is going to guess. So everybody hold up your right hand. Okay, put that on underneath your chair. There is a metal bar underneath your chair. The right hand underneath the right side of your chair, there's a metal bar. See if there's a piece of paper attached to that, not the left side, the right side. Front part of your chair. Front part, there's a metal bar. If you have it, stand up, not the left side of your chair, the right side. If you picked it up from the left side, that is your wrong hand. You picked it up from the left side, I can tell by what you pulled up. Is it one word or is it multiple words? Yes, that is the wrong thing. The right hand. Everybody, right hand. Who knows the right hand? Right? Okay. It should be one word on a piece of paper. If you have this word, stand up. I know they're there because I placed them there myself. I got one in the back. Who else? Stand up if you have one. They're going to be about right to left of the center person looking at stage. Stand up if you found one. Stand up if you found one. Okay, I have some people standing up. Did people find one? Not everybody needs one. If it is more than one word, that is not the paper. If you are reading more than one word, put that paper down. Okay. So stand up if you have the Pictionary word, one word on a piece of paper. Okay, everyone who did not get it, find somebody who has one. Ladies, it's probably left or right in one of the chairs sitting left or right of you. Okay, and if you have one, you can start drawing at your table. Ladies, did you get one? You can come up and grab some. I have some extras. It might just be easier. If your table doesn't have one, I have extras. You got one? Okay. There you go. If you want to come grab one, I have extras. Oh, you need one. Yeah, we're doing that later. Thank you. Oh, sorry, did you get it? Thank you. Okay, the person who has the piece of paper is the drawer. Start. Yes, ma'am, start. Okay, go back to your original seats, please. Have a seat. Go back to your original seats. Come back to me, please. Shh. Okay, so did anyone's team guess their word? Yay, awesome. Who else? Okay, so if you are on a team that did not guess your word and you were the drawer, I need 2 volunteers to come up and join me up here really quickly. 2 people who drew, where their team did not guess. And then 2 people who tried to guess and their team did not guess. So I need 4 people, 2 drawers and 2 guessers. Drawer and guesser. I need 1 drawer and 1 guesser. Guesser, can you come on this side? Perfect. What, drawer and guesser. Who else guessed? Come on, don't be shy. Okay, okay. I need 1 more guesser. 1 more person who tried to guess. Okay. Did you draw, ma'am? That's all right. Okay. Come over on this side. If you drew, come on over on this side. Okay, so Peggy, tell me very quickly what the challenge was of drawing.
It was, can I say, like, not what the word was, or it doesn't matter. It was a feeling. It's hard to draw a feeling.
Okay. How about you? What was the challenge, Janice, of drawing?
I'm not artistic, and and it was a difficult concept to picture.
Okay. And then what was the challenge in guessing?
I'm a little sleep deprived, and I couldn't think of any more words.
Sleep deprived and couldn't think of any more words. Okay, who else guessed? Was there someone else that had a challenge in guessing? There was no challenge in guessing. Yes, what was your challenge in guessing? Okay, awesome. Okay, so I just gave them what I called Tame Your Brain Game kudos cards. Because at work, the one thing we want most is not more money. We want appreciation. We lack appreciation at work. And so I gave them one of these that said, thank you for taking massive action and for better leading. We can't ask the people in our office or our clients or people that we know to do things that we're not willing to do. And out of everyone in here, these three were the ones that were willing to come up here, and they had no idea what I was going to ask, and they still were brave and courageous to do that. And they also got 2 blank ones that they can give to someone in their office or someone at home to show them how much they're appreciated and how thankful they are for them. So let's give them a big round of applause. Have a seat, ladies. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. So did you listen to their answers? Every single one of them was negative. Did anybody else pick up on that? Every single one was negative. It was hard. I didn't know how to draw a feeling. And so how is your internal communication affecting your external communication? Because you tell yourself, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to draw this, but yet you've got to draw it. So whether you're communicating in a drawing or whether you're communicating verbally, how are you coming into a conversation? Because if you're coming into a conversation the same way you've always came into a conversation, communication will break down. So tell me, you can just shout out the answers, how many people are in your office? If you could round it to the nearest 10 or 100, that would be awesome. 60. One what? 180. 10. Um, 198. Okay, so 660,000, 550,000, almost 2,110,000 dollars your organization is losing every year due to poor communication. Organizations lose $11,000 per person per year due to poor communication. So if you're starting a conversation showing up the same way that you've always showed up, your organization will continue to lose money over and over again. So when she said it's hard to draw a feeling, the same thing happens when we're talking with someone. A lot of times what we're trying to articulate is how we feel, and we talk all the way around it and hope that they know this is what we mean. And that isn't the case, because as we know, we can't read other people's minds. And so, how are you communicating with someone else? If you are a fast-paced, task-oriented person, talking with someone who's average-paced, people-oriented person, this may be how the conversation goes. I want this done by this person in this amount of time. And then you walk off. And the other person who's average-paced, people-oriented is like, what? I need more details. Why did you decide on that person? Why do you need it done by that time? Why are you mad at me? When it doesn't have anything to do with us, that's how they communicate. Because most of us communicate the same way we take in information, but not everybody else communicates that same way. So if you are an average-paced, people-oriented person talking with someone who's fast-paced, task-oriented person, you're like, oh my gosh, and then we went to the restaurant, and I saw someone, and I thought she looked familiar, but I wasn't really sure where I could place her. And I sat there and wondered about it, and the other person's like, what does this have to do with anything? Get to your point. You're wasting my time. Anyone know someone like that? And so it breaks down our communication, and what happens, the conflict grows and grows and grows. And oftentimes, we don't even know because we won't ask questions. And so when you're communicating with someone or trying to communicate with someone, ask questions. The more you ask questions, the better you get to the answers. But a lot of times we don't ask questions because we're scared of what they're going to say or think or do, or I should already know this answer and I don't. So, oh, what is that? How do I look that I really don't even know this and I really should? So we don't. And what happens is we just go and make all kinds of assumptions. So who would like to help me put on my jacket? It's very simple. It's just a black jacket. Awesome. Yes, please. Unless you can put it on down there and I'm standing up here. That would be pure talent. I would love it. Okay, so tell me how to put that on. Okay. Teach me how to put it on.
All right. Take your right arm,
okay.
left arm,
okay.
and put it in this hole right here.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
No, you're not going to hold it. I'll hold it for you, and you're going to put your arm in there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? Let go
Okay.
of it. Please let go.
Okay.
I'm going to guide your hand into this hole.
You can't touch me.
Oh, I can't touch
No.
you? Okay. Well, all right, stick your left arm straight out.
Okay.
Left arm straight out. This is not working. I can't touch her. Okay.
That is treat me like a toddler. Right.
Okay. Could you please take your left hand and extend it out like I'm doing? Come back. Stop. This is not going to work.
It's not.
It's not going to work.
Why not?
Because you're not following directions.
How am I not following directions?
You're not doing what I told you to do.
Awesome. Let's give her a round of applause. She would not let go of my jacket, would she? So what happened? Where did communication break down? It didn't? I'm nuts. Say that again. Right. We're making all kinds of assumptions for what someone else may or may not know. So she assumed I knew what my right hand was. And so when we're telling someone or teaching someone or instructing someone or talking with someone, how are we making assumptions about what they know? Anyone in here ever tried to teach their parent technology? Right, you may know what I'm talking about. And the more that you say it, the more you teach them, the more you guide them, the more frustrated you get. Because how can I make it any clearer? It is the green button in the top right-hand corner. So what we do is communication breaks down, but instead of clarifying things, our brain throws in all kinds of assumptions. It says, well, when I talked to Sally, the situation was kind of the same. That was 10 years ago that I talked to Sally, but it was kind of the same, so that must be the exact same thing that Tom means. Yeah, and so we throw in all those assumptions, then we act on that, and we lose and waste time, energy, and money. So how can you clarify things more with people that you're talking to make sure you're on the same page? If you're the giver, you can say, does that make sense? 99.9% of the time, the person will say yes, even if it doesn't. And so you can say, okay, well, can you explain it to me just so I'm clear that we're on the same page? If you put it back on you, it diffuses the situation. And then if you're the receiver, you can say, just to be clear, this is what I think you're saying. Is that really what you're saying? Is that what you're wanting? That gives them the opportunity to correct it right then. But how often are you walking away not understanding what it is they're actually asking? Have you ever had that instance when you're like, yep, and you're talking to someone and, oh yeah. You walk away and you think about the conversation and you're like, I have no idea what they just said. What is it they're really wanting? I have no idea. But yet in the moment, it made sense. In the moment, you were kind of sure what they wanted, but the more that you thought about it, you weren't clear on it at all. But then you go and act on not being clear. So what are some contributing factors to communication breakdown? That wasn't rhetorical. Vocabulary. What else? Say it again. Subject knowledge. One of the major communication breakdowns contributing factor is listening. So we are going to play a listening game. It is called telephone. How many people played telephone when they were younger? The way that it works is one person is going to whisper something one time in the person's ear next to him. Then that person's going to whisper it to the next person and then the next person. And when you're done, when your table's done, the last person can just keep it to themselves. So if you had a table of 2 or 3 join a table, you want about 5 in this exercise. Now everybody hold up their left hand. Left hand. Okay, now this piece of paper is on the left side of your chair. It is more than one word. Okay, raise your hand if your table has it. Everyone at a table have it? If you are the only person or 1 or 2 people at a table, join another table, please. Okay, awesome. So what's going to happen is the person who has it is going to say it, whisper it to the person sitting next to them. Nobody can repeat it. You say it one time and one time only, and you whisper it. You can't ask questions. Go for it. The first person can read it. And you can't write it down. It's just what you hear. Don't think about it, just go on the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, just pass it on, the first thing that comes to mind. Whose table is done? Raise your hand. If your table is done, raise your hand. Okay, I got a few tables done. Okay, you got another about 30 seconds. If you're done, that's fine. You can put it down. I'm just trying to get a feel for how many more people we have. Okay, so who is brave who wants to volunteer what they heard? The last person at your table who heard it. Who wants to share what they heard? Yes. Okay, Optimus Prime and someone has been attacked 583,000 times. Okay, who else wants to share what they heard? The last person at the table. Go for it. Optimus time and something else. Okay, how about you, ma'am? Optimal time is 500 times. Okay. One more. Who else? Yes. I'm sorry, start over. The Optimus with beef stew. Okay, so this is actually what it reads. Optimus Prime was saving me for the 583rd time. Then Soundwave got Laserbeak and Ravage, and they kicked the reptile snake and computer, who came to life and ate me and the beef stew. You can thank my toddler for that. That's a conversation with a toddler. So that was entirely 2 sentences. 2 sentences. How often when you're talking with someone are they only saying 2 sentences? Not very often. So how much or how well are you actually listening? I'm fully aware that adults listen about 25% of the time. So that means you've been listening to me now for about 10 minutes. So when you're talking with someone, how are you listening? Because what usually happens is if you're communicating with them and they're talking, you're like, yep, I got it. Oh my gosh, that is a great idea. And they keep talking and you're like, oh, absolutely. Lettuce. Ooh, I need lettuce at the grocery store. Yep. Lettuce. Ooh, tomatoes. I think I ran out of tomatoes. Yep. Tomatoes. Ooh, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? What sounds good with the salad? Oh, that's brilliant. Yes, keep doing that. Ooh, beef stroganoff. Yes. Ooh, do I have any of those ingredients? Sour cream. I think that went bad a while ago. I'll just get it anyways. Is this person still talking? What you are saying is not that important. I have important stuff to say. Yes, that is a great idea. Lettuce, remember lettuce, remember lettuce. Finally, it's my turn. Yes. And then you start talking. So you start to tune out, maybe go over your grocery store list or all the tasks that you still need to get done. And then when they start to say something, you're like, listening. Oh, she's talking about listening. Maybe I need to listen. What? So you tune out and you get distracted and then you come back in it. So when someone is talking to you, how well are you actually listening? Are you busy on your computer or on your phone and they're like, hey, I need to ask you something. You're like, okay, just a second. Oh, you can ask me. Let me just finish doing this, but you can still ask me. And then you're only listening to about 5% at that point because you're on your phone and they're saying something. How productive do you think that actually is? It actually hurts your productivity. You actually get less done. And how well do you think that your clients love that? That they're sitting there talking to you and telling you what's really important to them, and you space out and tune out saying, I got all these things that I need to get done. When are you going to be done talking? So when you're talking with something, square with them, put down whatever it is you're doing, square shoulders with them, look them in the eye, put your hands down, and say, you've got my undivided, full attention. It sounds so simple, and most of you are not doing it. But yet you want the full, undivided attention when other people are speaking to you, but you don't give it to other people. And by you clearly listening to not only what they're saying, but what they're not saying, it will change your business. So, where does your confidence lie when you communicate with others? Or even in a variety of situations. Most people want more confidence in at least one area of their lives. Where do you want more confidence? You may have came to this conference and you started off really high. You thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And as the conference went on, you realized, I don't know a lot of people here, so your confidence took a nosedive. Or maybe you came here not expecting to know anyone, and as a couple days went on, you met people and you felt more confident, so it increased. Or maybe when you speak to someone, your confidence starts off really good, and then as you look at them, you see the glazed eyes and people not paying attention, and you're wondering, am I making sense? And then they start nodding and raising their hands, and you're like, okay, yes, I'm back in the game. So your confidence gets flipped on his head. So what area of your life do you want more confidence in? I want you to think about that for just a second. What one area, because we're going to help you increase confidence in that area right now. Here's how it works. We are going to, oops, don't look, oh, well. So when my son was 3, he stood on the back of a couch and he jumped off and he hit his head. And he said, ow, Mama, that hurt. And I said, let's not do that again. And he said, no, Mommy, instead of jumping this way, I'm going to jump this way. And he did it. And then he jumped this way again and again. And then he said, I'm going to go climb the refrigerator. And I thought, is that even possible? Well, he shows you that it is, in fact, possible. But what happens is most of us want to climb the refrigerator. We have that goal that we want to achieve, but we're too scared to jump off the couch in the first place. We're too scared we're going to hit our head. We're too scared we're going to make a mistake or that we're going to fail. So we just don't do it. We talk ourselves out of it every single time because confidence comes from doing, not being. It's not about hoping and wishing to be more confident. It's about taking action. So when you find out what isn't working right now, what do you need to tweak and adjust to find out what works better? Because you have a refrigerator as well. What is your refrigerator? What is it you want to do, achieve, accomplish? But the inner communication of you saying, I can't do it, or it's not going to work out, or what if this happens, is holding you back. Because sometimes you just have to jump and hit your head. So give yourself permission to jump and to step outside of your comfort zone in order to eventually climb that refrigerator. Whenever I was working with NBC and the Dallas Mavericks, they found that the inner communication was really good for their players or their on-air talent, but what they didn't recognize is it's an every human thing. Every single person has that inner communication that holds them back, that keeps them from reaching their goals, from going out there and doing something bigger. So we've got to change the dialogue of what we're saying to ourselves in order to improve our confidence. So let's start increasing our confidence right now. We're going to do confident poses, and this is how it works. Now, these confident poses do not work if you have all that inner communication going on at the same time. They will cancel each other out, and one will always win, and it will not be your confidence. Meaning these are things to do in situations where you're feeling insecure, when you're feeling unsure, when it's unknown. This is something you can do to immediately increase your confidence right there on the spot, but you've got to clear your head of everything that's going on. So we're going to stand up. And here's how it works. So put your feet shoulder width apart, hands on your hips, shoulders back, head up. And on the count of 3, you're going to say a power phrase. Power phrase, whatever resonates with you. So it can be, yes, you got this, I rock. Sing your favorite lyrics. It doesn't matter, whatever gives you power, because we're taking back power and control with this confidence pose. Ready? On the count of 3. And you may be thinking, is anybody else going to do this? does this work? Am I going to look funny? And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. But this isn't about them. This is about you. Okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay, that was an okay first attempt. You're lucky we got a few more. So we're going to do another one. I want you to think Braveheart. If you don't know who Braveheart is, I don't have time to tell you who he is. But so put one foot out, bend the knee. And what you're going to do on the count of 3, you're going to draw your arm back and pop it out with power, right? Say it like you mean it and say another power phrase. If I can do it in heels, y'all can get into it. Okay, ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. You got this. Yes. Okay, shake it out. The next one is like YMCA. If you don't know who Braveheart is, you don't know who the Village People are. Okay, so think of a Y. Again, on the count of 3. Rock it. Say a power phrase. Ready? Own it. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay, shake it out. Now you're going to pick your favorite power pose and your favorite phrase and do them at the same time. I believe in you. I know you can do this. It's the last time, so say it with power. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes! Awesome. Have a seat. Give yourself a round of applause. Now, as you can see, I am super passionate about this. So if you know an organization, an association, or a conference who wants more information about communication, please come and see me right out here. I have a booth. Come and see me and talk to me. I'd love to connect with you. If you or your office want to take a deeper dive into communication, because this is only scratching the surface, again, you can come and see me right after this. Now, I've written 8 books, and I want to highlight 2 because a lot of people buy these in bulk for people in their office and on their team. This one is called the BS Quote Book. It's all the BS that we tell ourselves in our heads and the strategies to overcome them. And then this one is called Tame Your Brain Game, 52 tips to turn negative thoughts into positive action. And a lot of people will do these with their team or people in their office, and they'll do one a week. They'll say what the tip is, they'll work on it for a week, and then they'll go over with everyone what was the challenge in doing this and what was the success in doing this. That way we can celebrate and appreciate other people as well. So if you want your free copy, the first 2 people to come and grab these out of my hands are welcome to these copies. If you did not get your copy, again, I'm right outside. All of these are available for sale. So, in closing, I want you to think about what it is you think about. I want you to think about whether you're picking your child up from school and you're riding bikes home and they perceive you as grumpy. Or what is your tone of voice when you're going into a conversation? What is one thing you can tweak before you have communication with someone else? Because again, if you come into it the same way you've always come into it, you're going to continue to get the same results you've always gotten. When you sit there and feel insecure and not confident, do the power pose, and it will immediately ignite more confidence in you, and you can do that before you have your next conversation. So from this session, think about what is the one action you're going to take. What's the one thing you're going to implement? Because nothing changes without you taking action. Thank you for having me.
Jessica, for giving us tips on how to communicate confidently to anyone. and at any time. As we bring Accelerate 2018 to a close, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you. And for allowing me to serve as your 2018 convention chair. On behalf of the Virginia Realtors, sponsors, and the main hotel, we thank you. Enjoy the rest of your time here in Norfolk, and please drive safe. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.